Hey everybody, it's Frank McLaughlin, and thank you for joining me on this Sunday afternoon. I wanted to start by saying a little bit about selecting pigeons. If you're going to select your birds, make it easier for yourself. Select very corky, buoyant, medium-sized, great feathered pigeons. Not too much bulk, not too much back, not too much bone. Many select for show qualities over racing qualities. So if possible, select pigeons that don't gain weight. And the game becomes a lot easier if your pigeons, stay lean, stay buoyant, corky, don't gain body weight. And I know that I select for this, and sometimes my breeding pigeons they may not necessarily be like that, but will breed pigeons that are light and corky and airy. And again, it makes the game a lot easier. And if you're entering one-loft races, usually the birds are overfed and undertrained. So pigeons that don't gain weight really help the situation. And a lot of what I do is with feeding, very little training. So I need pigeons that stay lean and corky on their own. Another suggestion or something to look at people. You could feed everyone the same 2,000 calories a day. And some of the people are going to be lean and athletic, and others are going to be heavy on the same amount of calories. So if you look at your breeders like you'd be looking at people, maybe you can kind of have that mindset. Select the athletic, select the corky, select the buoyant type birds. So we'll get started with some questions here. The first question I have, when you start with the hens at the beginning of the year, do you loft fly? If not, how far is your training toss? I didn't let my birds out before the old bird season, and I didn't let them out at all the entire season. So they had no loft flying. I get their body weight down and I take them. My first toss is probably a quarter mile. I might go there twice and then go a half mile, a mile. But again, they're nice and light and buoyant when I start. I get them out, I get them home, and I get them in, mainly because the hawks are so bad that time of year. So my birds never made a circle the whole old bird season. And most of the old bird season, they raced. They had one training toss during the week, no loft fly, and they raced, and they flew terrific. Some weeks I had 2 training tosses. Most of the time it was 1 training toss. I took a few questions before this started. People sent them over. They couldn't attend the live stream. After weaning your first round from the stock birds, do you treat for anything while sitting on eggs on the second round? No. As many of you know, I don't flock treat ever. I will individually treat the birds. I never flock treat the birds. It's been over 10 years. The birds keep getting stronger. I vaccinate for everything. I give them all the nutrition, the minerals they need, but no flock treating. Same with the babies. I know some people wean the babies, give them a canker tab, and I wean them, I vaccinate them, I make sure they're not stressed. I put all the feed they want in front of them, all the little seeds. I'm not forcing them to eat big stuff when they get weaned. I think that's an old wives' tale. I've said it a million times. I've never seen an adult pigeon in my life that wouldn't eat peas and corn. So no, I don't do anything to the breeders, just natural health. I do use a few natural products, but even that, I'm getting away from that. Another question I took, I'm a small flyer, and I fly against the mob flyer. Best training method, what to do about the drag and how to compete. Well, if I was a small flyer, I would really work on getting my pigeons to break. So I put a link below to educating young birds. You want to work on getting your pigeons to break. You want to mix them. You want to find a fancier that you can train with that cause the birds to split. Even if he's not in the correct direction of the race course, it doesn't matter. You could go north, south. You could meet in the middle and toss your birds together where his birds have to go north, your birds have to go south. You want to work on teaching your birds to break. I use a truck training toss for that. I use a truck that's about 40 miles south of me. And the first many times my birds get sucked into the south, but after 5 or 6 times, I'm getting them the same time as everybody else at the same distance. So they're breaking. I'm not sure where they're breaking, but they learn to break. The other thing, if you want to be competitive, your birds have to fly to the front, and they have to fly to the front with a high speed. So you have to nail the body weight. They have to be super light and corky and buoyant. There's a fine line between super light and corky with enough energy. Once you nail that, the birds will fly. The other birds can't keep with them. And again, this is more relevant as you get farther out, a little more distance on the pigeons. They'll pull away. So if they're flying to the front and they're flying by themselves, there's nowhere else to go but to home. So I think a small flyer can beat the bigger type flyer, especially once you get out 200 or 300 miles. What would you prefer when breeding pigeons? Natural pairing or selective pairing? Colony breeding or cage breeding? Which is the best? Now, I've done a couple of videos on this, and I put it down below. Pigeons are a colony animal. They're happiest in groups. I tried the whole individual breeding pen thing. I don't like it. My best pigeons didn't seem to produce. I like breeding in a colony. I like small breeding teams of really high-end pigeons. I also like to let my pigeons select their own mates. I've said it before, you select the woman or man of your dreams, and you're a lot more enthusiastic about it than if someone said, well, you have to marry her, you have to marry him. So I think pigeons that select their own mates, they know better than us. I do colony breeding, and except for special pairings and for sale birds and stuff like that, my birds select their own mates. Where do the genes of young birds come from? More from the mother or the father? Well, I would say that the mother gives more of a body to the bird. So if you have really nice hens, they tend to pass more of the physical to the bird. The boys can have, maybe a little weaker or a little more awkward. The hens are more important for the physical end of the babies. And I also think the hens give slightly more in the immune system in the egg than the male. Now, the immune system is both genetic and some of it's passed through crop milk in the egg. I feel the hens give a little bit more because they produce the egg. So if you get a superstar hen with a great immune system, great genetics, she's probably passing more of that to the baby. How much more? Not that much more, a little bit more. And we'll take some questions in the feed.